Alrighty, so we're on something a bit different today. We are revisiting SplitGate 2, or I guess it's called SplitGate Arena Reloaded now. I think the name changed maybe 8 months ago, somewhere around there. But it's been a while since I last played this game. I actually took a screenshot before I updated it, but I last played on July 3rd, 2025. So it has been over a full year since I played this game. And if I'm correct, I think this game came out in like May or June of last year. And it got a whole revamp around December or somewhere around that time frame. I did actually make a video on this a while ago, and it kind of seems like this game fell to a similar fate as the first Splitgate, and it honestly seems like the newest 1047 game, Impulse, is also probably going to go down a similar fate. So what happened with this game? Well, if you look at the Steam charts, I'm not going to really bother bringing up the Steam charts. You can look at it if you want to. The game had like a decent launch, and part of the issue for this game, or I guess criticism, was the Battle Royale mode. There was the whole, was it the CEO on stage for, was it Summer Games Fest? It was some sort of game show, and he just made all these comments that kind of resonated with fans, and then revealed a Battle Royale. Which Battle Royales are just not really the hotness anymore. Seems like game companies are trying to make extraction shooters a new hotness, which I don't really think they're going to be. But this game did pretty well at launch, but I think it had a number of issues. I think the main issue for me was just that I kind of got bored fast. There really was just not a whole lot to the game. It didn't play bad. I know there was some criticism with the new like class system, because Splitgate 1 was kind of just more of a Halo style. You run around, you pick up guns off the floor, and then of course there is criticism with portals. Some people like the portals, some people don't. Definitely does introduce more of a skill gap, and it does kind of make the barrier of entry a bit harder. Whereas with like Halo, for example, just general Halo, it's kind of got like a low skill floor and a higher skill ceiling. It's easier to learn, but you know, there still is mastery to Halo, and this game probably competed with Halo the most because it is that kind of classic arena shooter. The problem just that is, you know, the portals make it a little bit more difficult, and people were just kind of split over the class system that was introduced into Splitgate 2. And then Battle Royale, not everyone cared for Battle Royale. Some people liked it, some people didn't. But for me, there was just not a whole lot of like replayability to the game. It kind of just got samey. There were not very many maps, there were not very many modes, there weren't a ton of weapons. A lot of the weapons were pretty dang samey because there's 3 classes at the start, and each class basically has the same weapon, just remodeled. They function a little bit different, but not that much different. What even is my portal key? OKE. And then around with the Splitgate Arena Reloaded thing that they did, the revamp, they seemed to make it a bit more actually arena based. They got rid of the class systems. You now just have to find weapons off the floor. It's a bit more Halo style. You still got the portals though. Oh, and of course they added a battle pass, and you know, every game needs to have a battle pass. That was for the launch of the game though. That was not just a Arena Reloaded change. But it seems like 1047 just does not have a good track record anymore, because with Splitgate 1, people really liked it. I mean, especially with just how Halo's been doing for really like a decade now. Splitgate 1 kind of felt like an alternative to Halo. It still had the portals, which, you know, kind of scares away more casual players. I don't really think it's that much of an issue. I mean, games gotta be different, right? Having portals is not intrinsically a bad thing. It just does make it a little bit more, I guess, intimidating for casuals, because someone that masters portals can do absolutely crazy things for sure. But Halo's not doing well at all, because I mean, Halo's just been rough ever since 343 Industries got it. Even Halo Campaign Evolved that came out so recently has not been doing too well. But Splitgate 1 kind of seemed promising because, well, I mean, indie studio game seemed to be pretty fun. So the portals, like I said, but people enjoyed it. And right as Splitgate 1 started to take off, they decided to start making Splitgate 2. Why exactly? Who knows? It really seemed completely unnecessary, and really that kind of killed all momentum for Splitgate 1. Pretty much after they announced they were working on Splitgate 2, the game really just started to fall off, because why invest into a game that's not really going to get any more support? So that happened. Then Splitgate 2 launched. Again, Battle Royale, just not much content, very few maps, very few modes, very few weapons. I don't even think there was like a mastery grind in this game. It just seemed kind of bare bones, which kind of reminds me of X-Defiant. For those that don't know, Ubisoft made a game called X-Defiant, which was kind of supposed to be a competitor to Call of Duty. Oh yeah, here's the loadouts. Okay, I guess we do still have it. No portal mode. And I guess to the portal people that are just really scared of portals, no portal mode is actually a pretty good idea. The only kind of issue with that is that you do have to make maps that are suited to not having portals, because when you have portals as like a base mechanic for a game, you kind of design maps around having portal access. But anyway, Splitgate 2 just did not do well on launch. I mean, it had plenty of players, but it kind of fell off quickly. The game's not dead by any means, but just a lot of people say dead game because there's not really too much of a better term for games. I typically just say fell off because that's something that's, you know, a bit less arguable. You know, if a game goes from a 60,000 player peak to a peak of 1,000 players, that it fell off, but it's not dead, right? But then there's also other ways that game could be dead, you know, support being cut, etc. Because in terms of live service, if a game stops getting supported, then yeah, it's pretty much dead as a live service, but you can still obviously play the game. And then there's also like, oh, is the game actually dead when the servers are still online, even if it's not getting supported? Oh, is it dead if there's even like, you know, 10 players playing the game at least, etc. But I remember like kind of like a month after launch for Splitgate 2, they announced that they were going to be shutting down Splitgate 1. Now they ended up not following through with this because they said they support the Stop Killing Games movement, and so they managed to find a workaround for Splitgate 1 to manage to keep it online. I don't know if that was like getting different servers, like peer-to-peer servers or what, but Splitgate 1 did not get shut down, which is good, but that was definitely like not exactly good PR for them to announce that they were going to be shutting down Splitgate 1. So basically just like a month or two after Splitgate 2 came out, the game just kind of fell off, and they were going to try to revitalize it by revamping it. They really did seem to listen to a lot of community feedback, but the problem with most games nowadays is that first impressions are the only impressions that matter, because there are just so many other games out these days, and pretty much a lot of gamers have a main game already, whether it be Warframe or Counter-Strike, World of Warcraft, Valorant, like you name it. A lot of players just have a main game that they always return home to. Doesn't mean that they're playing it every single day, but it's just a game that they kind of feel like is their home. And so when they try a game and the first impressions just don't hit, they oh well, I'll just go back to my other main game. Because like for me, Warframe is probably my main game. I play it a lot. Even if I don't play it every single day, I still take breaks from it, but it's always a game that I end up returning to, especially when there's like actually new updates for it. And so when you try out a new game and the first impressions don't hit, you just go back to that main game or whatever other game you were playing. And then also there's just a bunch of other games out right now. Like I was just talking about having one main game. What if you have like 2 or 3 games as a rotation? Like one day you're playing Warframe, maybe next day you're playing Marvel Rivals, maybe next day you're playing Marvel Tokon, maybe next day you're playing Counter-Strike. Or of course you could be trying out a new game, first impressions don't hit, this other game comes out and the first impressions do hit and it's really fun and you enjoy it. Well, then you kind of just forget about that other game and just go back to the new game that was doing better. And so a lot of people end up forgetting about that game that just did not hit too well. So then it's kind of just hard for the game to have a comeback. Really, I say that we're just not in the era, sorry, dog wanted out of the room, but really I just say that we're not in the era of comebacks anymore. If a game does poorly on launch, it's probably never really going to get popular. Even if it gets to be in a good state, it's probably just not really going to get many players because they've all moved on by then. Like, why return to the game that just did not do too well when I have these other games that are doing well, that I'm actively enjoying? And I think X-Defiant kind of had a similar issue to Splitgate, and that there just was not a lot of content at the launch, because I enjoyed X-Defiant and Splitgate. Problem was just that I got bored pretty quickly. And I guess another kind of issue that can be talked about is monetization. Skins, yes, not everyone likes skins, but it is valid to say that like, oh, this skin is just not interesting, I don't want to buy it. X-Defiant, Splitgate, I don't really think they had crazy cosmetics that made people want to buy them. And when it's a free-to-play game and the game's future depends on microtransactions, it's valid to say, oh, these microtransactions are just not appealing. But really, I think that's why why Splitgate just did not do too well and it never got a comeback. I think it's kind of a similar situation for Bungie's Marathon that came out. Marathon also kind of just lackluster on content. There's not a ton to it, but also it was overshadowed by Arc Raiders. Splitgate never really had anything overshadow it. It just never really took off in the first place. And well, there's Impulse now from 1047, which I've not tried personally and I have no interest in it, especially just given 1047's track record now. Splitgate 1, Splitgate 2, now Impulse. Like, I don't know, they're really just throwing stuff at walls, seeing if it sticks. Like, what, are they going to abandon Impulse after a month or two? Who knows? But anyway, I think that's all I got to talk about for now. Really is a shame what happened to this game and Splitgate 1, but oh well, it's just how things go sometimes.